Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Alice in Industryland. Yeah. So today is episode 2. We have another special guest right here with me. His name is Jordon, and can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alice, for having me on the podcast. My name is Jordon, and I'm a communications specialist in university.
That's awesome. Thank you for joining us today. And today we'll learn a little bit more about his role as a communication specialist. Can you explain a little bit about the role to the audience, please?
Yeah, I can. So as a communication specialist at a university, my role specifically has a lot to do with writing and photography. So a lot of the photography I do is at university events, student events, convocation, and then a lot of the writing I do as well is around those events that I take photos of, but also interesting stories that occur throughout the university, whether that's with the students or alumni or even our faculty members. It just depends on what the story is, but there's always something interesting going on at university.
So that's a very interesting work. Would you mind explaining a little bit about your day-to-day, how it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my day-to-day is, it does vary depending on the time of year. So there's ups and downs. So we just had convocation. So now we're in a bit of a lull period right now, which is going to pick up again with a lot more writing in the foreseeable months. We've got something coming up, a publication, I should say, that we're planning to publish as a university. So there's a lot of writing involved in there. But my regular day-to-day is a lot of communication via email with faculty or with other community members, just trying to organize ourselves for interviews, for photo shoots, to get all the material that we need to be able to publish these stories. That's a lot of my day-to-day is communicating. Wow. That's part of the job, right? Communications.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to do in a day. So as person who is working in university, would you like to recommend this to other people who are interested in working?
I think working at a university is great. It's a very supportive environment, I find. My team is all about doing our best work together and seeing how we can support one another. So if you like a team environment, you like working with other people and talking to and learning more about your community and getting more involved in the community, I absolutely recommend working at any local university.
Yeah, thanks for that. And also, if anyone's interested in going into your industry, what would you recommend them doing?
Yeah, so it depends on how you get into it. There's a couple ways to get into a university. Of course, the most basic one is to go to university first, and then after you graduate and have your degree, you're much more likely to get a job at a university, at the one you go to especially. But also depending on what you specialize in, that does play a part as to what jobs are available too. So if you're looking for a communications job like mine, you'll want to take communications for sure. You want to do a little bit more as well. Take a little bit of photography on the side, video, writing, public relations. It does depend on where in the university you want to work. But there's the university itself as a whole industry. So there's chock full. There's so many opportunities at university. So just focus specifically on what you want to do and see which universities have that position.
And also, as a person who is working in the industry, what do you find about your job is most rewarding part?
I find the most rewarding part for me about my job is seeing my stories and seeing my work in other publications. So I've had the opportunity to have my photos published in the local newspapers, the online versions, not the print versions per se, but where we are as a university, it's very community oriented. So there's a lot of taking stories from around the community and being involved in the community. So it's actually not surprising to see my colleagues' work on news websites or anything, but it's so interesting and cool to see a newspaper that you would pick up, right? You go online to their website and your story is there, right? Written a little differently because it's a different writer, but you're the first one to publish that story specifically. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's always feeling rewarding when other workplaces than yourself is recognizing your work and giving credit for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And also now we have the trend of using AI into your workforces in anything. Would you say you would use or consider using AI for your work as well?
I would recommend using AI cautiously. And I don't mean that from, I'm not against AI. I think it's great. And I use it to help myself communicate better, especially. It's great at rewriting things. And I find using AI initially helps spur my creativity, especially. It gives me more ideas and more different ways to word things, especially. But I wouldn't depend solely on AI. It's a great tool, but at the end of the day, it's a tool. And for my position specifically, there is a lot of writing involved, but a lot of that writing is still done by me specifically because it just sounds different from AI. AI does a really great job. It's a great way to get started, but I wouldn't write a whole blog post via AI at this point in time anyways. We'll see where AI develops.
Okay, yeah, that's a great answer. And that's a great, interesting point to look at because not every industry and not every job entails using of AI to the fullest. And especially in universities, I think they have different perspective on using of the AI. Another thing I want to talk about is you said you write a lot in terms of, your day-to-day basis work. Where do you usually find your inspiration for any blog post or your writing?
So when it comes to inspiration, I find not even looking, but really just going to talk to people is really important. It's so interesting to hear these people and hear what they're doing in their research or what kind of programs they have going on or what different events they're hosting. And that's where we get a lot of our stories is from our university community where people come to us, but we also go out and search for these stories too. It's a bit of investigative journalism in its own way. We're kind of our own newsroom, basically, just for the university as a whole. So really talking to people is important. That's where you can get the best stories from the first person perspective, especially. You can't really get that from AI.
Yeah, that's really cool. And thank you for sharing where you get your inspiration. And I really believe in the power of connection and community and talking to people as well. And do you have any advice for people who wants to get in your industry? What would be the first step to take?
Well, working at a university, first step is to get a degree, I guess. It's kind of important. It's kind of, it's the least you can do at the start. And then anything else extra is more for your own benefit than anything else. So if you want to work in a university, just go to your university's website, go to the career section, see what kind of careers they have. And you'd be surprised how many different spaces there are, how many different sections of the university you can work in. I mean, there was, from my position, like I just saw this one position, but I'm seeing other positions, even in my own university, that are very, very similar to what I do, just in different faculties or in different schools. So going out there and really just seeing what's available, I find is always a great first step. And then seeing what you have that you can help out with and where you need to shore up your skill sets. So you're never going to get 100% of the skills on a job posting, but having the core skill sets is very essential. So there's a little bit of parsing there that you have to do. But it's important to really look and see what they're looking for.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So you said there are some core skills you have to have. Can you name a few for the audience to understand?
Absolutely. So I'll focus specifically on my job position because I can't say anything about something completely unrelated like facilities or registration. But for a communication specialist in my position, the core skills are writing and photography. And some additional skills you can have are videography for one, social media. There's so many other things that can help with your position as a whole. But for myself specifically, because it is more writing intensive and more photo based, those are the core skills that I had to learn for my job, which I had beforehand, but they've just gotten better as I worked in this position as well. And that's what you'll find too, is the more you do the job, the better you get.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thank you for the great tips and sharing the job, what it entails. In case any of the audience want to contact you, do you have any content you can give out to the audience?
Yeah, so I am reachable via Instagram at Jordon.tv. That's JORDON.tv. Feel free to send me a message and let me know how I can help.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming to my channel today. And we had a great time sharing and talking with Jordon about his position being a communication specialist at university. And we'll be back next week with another episode with different interview. Thank you so much. Bye.